where this concept of playing the ball and not the men has come from, and the no blame culture that you instill in the firm, in your firm and the firms that you coached.
Yeah, sure, Brenton. So what I might do is just to explain the no blame culture, and then we can then go to the slide. I often see accounting firms blaming people for problems that occur, and often they don't know they're doing it. It's just through frustration. So it's either in their face or the body language, or when there's a mistake made. And the problem with that kind of way of managing people, and look, none of us were taught to manage, and we're all taught to do the work. So we went to uni, we came out of uni, we got taught to do the work, and then somehow we ended up as a manager, and then we're expected to manage people, but we were never taught to manage people, and hence we, and me included, make a lot of mistakes in trying to progress our career. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest mistakes that managers make is blaming people for mistakes. And I know it's really difficult because if a mistake's made, there's a domino effect all the way down the line, and it's extremely frustrating. However, your role as a manager is to get the best out of your people. So it's about productivity, and production is the only focus that you should be paying attention to. And if you say something or you use body language that upsets someone, and it affects their productivity because they got upset, then really you haven't done your job, because your job is to get the most productivity out of the individual. And if that individual got upset and couldn't produce as much, or went home, worse still went home, then there's no productivity at all out of that person. So the first thing is, if you create a blame culture, the productivity will drop. It would also create another environment, which is nobody will come to you with the problem. So they may know of the problem, but they'll hide it. They'll hide it because they might get blamed for it. And the problem with that, of course, is that if you don't know that there's a problem and you can't fix it, then it's going to create a bigger problem later on.
Yeah.
So you want to create a friendly environment, a safe environment, an environment where it's open, and people want to come to you, to talk to you, and to get some to help fix the problem. So the no blame culture is extremely important. So that it goes from just your body language to the language that you use to everything. As a leader and as a manager, you've got to have a real poker face, and you've always got to be upbeat, and you never play the man, but always play the ball. So focus on the problem, focus on fixing the problem, focus on finding solutions to the problem, irrespective of how the problem was created or who created the problem, right? And it's not easy to do. I know it's very, very, very hard to do, especially since we're all people. We have feelings, and we have we react differently to different circumstances. But as a manager, you have to be very calm, and you have to focus on the facts, and you have to focus on finding solutions and not blame. And if you can create an environment where it's open and solution focused, and people are looking for solutions rather than looking for problems, then you're going to have an abundant environment rather than a scarcity environment. And you won't have this environment where it's very, very tense in the organization and it's stressful. Mm-hmm. And that's created by the managers, because employees don't leave companies, they leave their managers. And
I think that's a really important one, that we hear that line here and there, but I mean, when you boil it down to the culture that's created internally, it definitely is all around how we manage and how we lead our team. People don't leave companies, they leave their managers.
Yes, and the same person can do so well under manager A and really badly under manager B. And it's the same person, and yet they're so much more productive under A than under B. And the only difference is the way the manager is managing the individual. And yet I come back to what I said earlier. We come out of uni, we get experience doing the work, and then some of us are put into a management role, and we've never been taught how to manage. And yet, this is the area that gets the most scalability, the most leverage, and the most productivity is how to manage your people. And your people in our industry falls under cost of goods sold. And if you look at all your costs in an organization, the biggest cost is your cost of goods sold, and that's our people. So it's extremely important that we manage them well, because if you're buying some commodity to sell, if you're selling calculators, you know that if you buy it for $2, it's going to cost you $2. But our cost of goods sold is based on how productive our people are, and that's akin to a situation where the calculator you're buying, one day costs you $2, next day costs you $3, the next day costs you $1.50. Depending on how productive that individual is, or how well led they are, or how well they're being empowered to do the work, and how productive they are. So it's such an important area that a lot of accounting firms don't put much emphasis on it. Mm-hmm. And they don't put the training and the time into their leaders, into their client managers.
And just on that point, and one of the things we wanted to point it out, there's quite an in-depth video, but we'll touch on the concept itself here. As everyone can see on the left-hand side here, this is what's called the maturity continuum, which is straight from Dr. Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So you can see the 7 habits listed there, but one of the things we do point out here is a lot of this comes down to becoming a better leader. If we don't focus on our private victories and on bettering ourselves as a leader, we're not going to be able to move through that continuum to a point where we can have those public victories and we can work with others to form that interdependence, where you say that synergizing with other people, the 1 + 1 = 5. Can you possibly touch on that journey a little bit for us?
Yes, absolutely. And it comes back to the ideal team structure, is to get complementary skills working together, and you'll get that synergy. You'll get that 1 + 1 = 5. Mm-hmm. And it starts with this Dr. Stephen Covey's slide here. And at the bottom there, you can see it's called he's called it dependence. Dependence is when you're a junior, you're learning the job, and you're dependent on everybody around you to teach you how to do things. And so you've got to master that first. So there's a journey that you go through, and the one in the middle is called independent. So that once you've learned how to do something, then you're independent of anybody else that's around you. But leadership is really about interdependence. Is the third level up. And once you get to interdependence, that's when you're a true leader. And leadership is about a public victory, yes. It's also about understanding the people around you. And fundamental to that is some of those things that he's got in there. Seek to understand before being understood. And seeing it from the point of view of the people that you're leading, not from your own point of view. Mm-hmm. And leaders are very, very good at that, because they have to lead people, and the best way to get the best out of people is to understand what buttons to press with them, and not everyone can do that. Most people see things from their own point of view, and they do things it's called self-interest, if you like. Yeah. Most people survive on self-interest. And that's below that interdependence level. But if you want to be a really good manager, you've got to transcend from independence to interdependence. Independence is where you're working on your own, and you're quite experienced and you're quite experienced to work on your own. But that's not leadership. Leadership is interdependence, where you're understanding the people around you and you're bringing them with you, and taking them with you on the journey, and